¿Qué tal amigos? ¿Cómo están ustedes? Gracias por estar aquí nuevamente en el canal, gracias por acompañarme en otro episodio. Tenemos en este momento una información de última hora. Matt Gaetz decidió no postularse para fiscal general de la administración Donald Trump. Sí señores, esto es una información de última hora. Matt Gaetz se retira de la consideración del fiscal general con el informe de ética de la Cámara sobre su cabeza. El fiscal general designado Matt Gaetz retiró su nombre de la consideración el jueves, un día después de la reunión con los senadores republicanos en el Capitolio, y con un informe de ética del Congreso potencialmente condenatorio todavía sobre su cabeza. Matt Gaetz, de 42 años, dijo en una publicación de Twitter que tuvo excelentes reuniones con los senadores, antes de agregar que está claro que mi confirmación se está convirtiendo injustamente en una distracción para el trabajo crítico de la transición Trump-Vance. Cito: "No hay tiempo que perder en una disputa innecesariamente prolongada en Washington, por lo que retiraré mi nombre de la consideración para desempeñarme como fiscal general. El Departamento de Justicia de Trump debe estar en su lugar y listo el día 1. Sigo plenamente comprometido a que Donald Trump sea el presidente más exitoso de la historia", continuó el excongresista republicano. "Siempre será un honor para mí que el presidente Trump me haya nominado para dirigir el Departamento de Justicia y estoy seguro de que salvará a Estados Unidos". Matt Gaetz renunció a la Cámara el 13 de noviembre, horas después de que Trump lo nominara como máximo funcionario encargado de hacer cumplir la ley del país. Esto es información de última hora. Fuentes familiarizadas con la pelea de confirmación sugirieron que Matt Gaetz vio la escritura en la pared después de que varios senadores republicanos expresaron reservas y se retiraron por su propia voluntad en lugar de que el presidente electo retirara su nombre públicamente. Una fuente familiarizada con el proceso le dijo al New York Post que a Matt Gaetz se le mostró un conteo de látigos privados poco antes de retirarse, demostrando en blanco y negro que no tenía camino hacia la confirmación. El ascenso de Matt Gaetz se vio detenido por el resurgimiento de detalles de una investigación aparentemente de tráfico realizada por el Departamento de Justicia que concluyó a principios del año 2023 sin que Matt Gaetz fuera acusado, y una investigación en curso del Comité de Ética de la Cámara de Representantes sobre presunto abuso de drogas y conducta inapropiada, entre otros. Los testigos que testificaron, valga la redundancia, ante investigadores federales y del Congreso alegaron que el entonces congresista supuestamente tuvo relaciones con ellas por dinero, ganando más de $10,000 americanos en pagos a través de la plataforma Venmo. Al menos uno de esos testigos también afirmó que vio a Matt Gaetz teniendo supuestamente relaciones con una chica de 17 años en una fiesta en julio del año 2017, durante su primer mandato en el Congreso, según Joel, un abogado con sede en Orlando que representa a las mujeres que acusan. La corresponsal legal en jefe de la CNN, Paula, afirmó en X que Matt Gaetz también se retiró 45 minutos después de que ella lo llamó para pedirle comentarios sobre un informe sobre segundo encuentro. Matt Gaetz ha negado con vehemencia todas las acusaciones, diciendo que las afirmaciones de los testigos son inventadas y constituye un falso testimonio ante el Congreso y debe verse con gran escepticismo. El Comité de Ética de la Cámara de Representantes se reunió el miércoles para una votación a puerta cerrada sobre si publicar o no el hallazgo sobre el ex legislador republicano, pero surgió después de 2 horas de deliberación que no hay acuerdo sobre la publicación del informe. Un asistente del Partido Republicano había predicho previamente al New York Post que Matt Gaetz no sería confirmado en el Senado, diciendo: "Todo esto es una jugada para convertirse en un mártir para impulsar su perspectiva como gobernador en el año 2026 en Florida". Otro había especulado bajo condición de anonimato que muchos legisladores republicanos tenían miedo de expresar su verdadera evaluación de Matt Gaetz porque no querían estar en la lista de procesamiento en la próxima administración. Donald Trump, de 78 años, respondió a Matt Gaetz: "Aprecio enormemente los esfuerzos recientes de Matt Gaetz para buscar la aprobación para ser fiscal general. Lo estaba haciendo muy bien, pero al mismo tiempo no quería ser una distracción para la administración, a la que tiene mucho respeto. Matt Gaetz tiene un futuro maravilloso y espero ver todas las grandes cosas que hará. Sí, señores, entonces esta fue la declaración de Donald Trump, donde dice que acepta el retiro de la candidatura como fiscal general de los Estados Unidos. Vamos a escuchar a continuación el informe que trae Fox News sobre este tema en específico de el retiro de la candidatura como fiscal general de los Estados Unidos de Matt Gaetz. Vamos a ver esto.
We have breaking news this hour. Matt Gaetz is stepping down from his nomination to Attorney General of the United States. Many said this was the most contentious of the nominations made by former President Trump. And he has announced categorically that he will not be seeking confirmation to the post of Attorney General. Here are his words. I had an excellent meeting with senators yesterday. I appreciate their thoughtful feedback and the incredible support of so many. While the momentum was strong, it is clear that my confirmation was unfairly becoming a distraction to the critical work of the Trump-Vance transition. There's no time to waste on a needlessly protracted Washington scuffle. Thus, I'll be withdrawing my name from consideration to serve as Attorney General. Trump's DOJ must be in place and ready on day one. I remain fully committed to seeing that Donald J. Trump is the most successful president in history. Look, Griff, this was quick. I mean, the appointment came as a surprise to many. And we will see what happens. We know the deputy is Todd Blanche. That was Trump's attorney in his case with Alvin Bragg here in New York. Many suspected that if Gaetz did not make it through, that perhaps Blanche would be elevated.
Well, we'll see where it goes. And I think really the question over what Matt Gaetz does next is really fascinating because he resigned from the current Congress. He was elected to the next one, but his resignation officially set in motion Governor DeSantis standing up a special election quickly. Gaetz's district in the Panhandle is very Republican. It was always going to be a Republican that replaces him. The question now is, will Gaetz run in his own special election to try and get reelected back to Congress? And the question about, there was clearly, Kayleigh, pressure building, sources at Capitol Hill telling me and every other reporter in Washington that this ethics report was likely coming out. And now, maybe that's up in the air now that he steps away, or maybe it accelerates it. That's yet to be seen.
It is yet to be seen. You know, Harris, so he resigned from the 118th Congress, and when he gave his speech on the House floor announcing that resignation, he said, I do not intend to take the oath of office for the same office in the 119th Congress.
I caught
it. So you
it.
have to ask, does he now take that back and try to be a congressman, or does he go away?
He said, but you caught what he said, the same office.
Yeah.
DeSantis has to appoint, if Michael Waltz, congressman, moves on in his nominated post, if Marco Rubio, senator, moves on in his nominated post, he's got some positions to work with there in that state. Could it be Matthew Gaetz, who then becomes a U.S. senator for an interim in the state of Florida?
That's an interesting thought. I mean, Cassie, there's also the notion that Trump could appoint him to a big and powerful position that does not require Senate approval. He clearly thinks fondly of Matt Gaetz. Matt Gaetz is someone who wants to drain the swamp, who wants to shake things up in a big way. Trump could put him in a big position, just one shy of needing Senate confirmation.
Yeah, these are all very interesting scenarios to see how they play out. It's no secret that Matt Gaetz doesn't really sit with anyone at the lunch table in Congress. He's made a lot of enemies, and he's turned people the wrong way. But that's not to say that he's just going to go away and say, you know what, all right, we don't get along. I'm going to go back to Florida and hang out on the beach. I think he has higher aspirations. I think you're right. We know President Trump really likes him and thinks that he's a great defender of his agenda. So I wouldn't be surprised if we see him again sooner than we think.
There's also the Ethics Committee. I've watched several members, Democrat and Republican, talk about this. There was a loggerhead. There was not an agreement to release the report. You had Democrats saying we want a full vote of the House as to whether this report should come out. Right. Emily, one would think that that moves away, and now the ethics report is a done deal and the dustbin of history, but maybe not.
Right. I mean, Senator John Cornyn came out and said, look, this is going to come out one way or another, he said. He was quite vociferous, unlike, for example, another senator who anonymously commented on the record that it would be very contentious and essentially requesting that Gaetz step aside to save him the, quote, embarrassment of that public trial that Senator Cornyn said would be messier than Kavanaugh. It would be even more brutal. So I think that might have played into it. Perhaps we don't know what happened behind closed doors, if there was pressure that former Congressman Gaetz acquiesced to in the form of, look, don't jump on the grenade. There was also the thoughts that perhaps it might make other nominations easier. But it seemed as if the ethics report potentially had a big impact. But again, to the senator's point, perhaps that's going to be released no matter what.
If Governor DeSantis were to put him and appoint him, you also get around any sort of confirmation situation. You fill a Republican seat in a state that is red, that's been red, and you know who you have in the Senate. You already have a majority. I mean, I would really watch that if that's what he wants.
Yes, we will see.
Can I just say, you know, if you were just walking it out, because we're just getting this news, and it's like, wow, what if you filled Rubio's seat with Gaetz and made him a senator? Or Waltz. You still don't get rid of
stays in the House.
What Emily was talking about, the ethics report, and what was going to be the consequences. You saw New York Times is already reporting this long stream of payments, apparently, that was part of the testimony to the House. So if all of the information is coming out, even naming him to a seat, does he not still come back and have to deal with that, which could weaken the majority?
And the new question becomes, who will be the new nominee for Attorney General? A lot of people saying Todd Blanche, highly qualified former federal prosecutor nominated to Deputy Attorney General. We'll see if he gets elevated. We will find out in due time. More on Numbered next.